Two patches emerged on my battle.net, and sorry I could not play them both, and just be one gamer with one client only. I read the patch notes as much as I could, until I spazzed and tweeted things. And then I ran some grifts for just as long. And now having a better rank, the season feeling good, I wanted more. And after doing both these things, I had spent the time about the same. Yet both this evening now do lay, live and ready for all our play. Oh, I'll just test the roll-in set. But knowing me, my eyes will wander back to the leaderboards of Season 2. Tonight, I greet you with a sigh, because I have neither, just a 9-ball. Two patches emerged on my battle.net, and I took the Westmarch Workshop podcast, because I love you all, and all of you. And that is my intro. A little ribbing on some Robert Frost, since we were discussing poetry last time around.
I was just about to say, going back is something that I learned what you majored in. You know, falling back on some of your education there.
Indeed. So just putting a little dramatic flair out there, and bringing
a little culture.
Yes, gotta enlighten the masses, the unwashed masses as they are, which is probably pretty close to home for some of the hardcore gamers out there with a lowercase h, because showers become less important when there are seasons to grind. And that brings us to Westmarch Workshop, episode 40. What about season 2?
What about it?
Well, I think its thunder got a little stolen in the last week.
This Diablo season 2, the season time forgot.
I mean, the hype train was there, and then it took off, and it found new passengers.
Yep.
Because, man, last week we were complaining about next to no news, yet we still had a lot to talk about because it's us. And now, there are way more things to talk about, and I don't even know if we'll make our normal 2-hour time limit.
Yeah, we will try. We're gonna change some things up. We are gonna go through the patch notes today, talk about some other things that weren't in the patch notes, as well as always we have the community feedback. We still are committed to our season 2 starter builds for all of the classes that we're gonna go through. But yeah, expect this 2.2 PTR coverage to go across 2 or more episodes.
Yes, yeah, if anything, we will just keep things going, because we wouldn't even be able to do it justice without multi-coverage. So I guess we should keep this thing curtain going. How was your week in gaming?
My week in gaming actually was pretty good. I kind of devoted all of my spare time into playing Diablo, so I'm now 150, as opposed to, I think, on my last episode I was 30. So
it's a bit of a change.
Ever so slightly. So I was able to go through and at least get some grinding in there. I'm now, Torment 6. I'm up to 27. I'm pretty sure that I can do 28 and 29. I'm just taking a lot of damage, and I've not found any unities yet. So that's the one thing that's kind of holding me back. Clearing 27, I've gotten it down, I think 9 or 8 minutes, and so I could definitely move on to the next couple, and I have the damage for it, but I don't have the survivability. Even at 14 million toughness, I'm getting hit pretty hard.
You are in the struggle right now.
Yes, sir.
Have you attempted to finagle the defensive gems, the new gems, to possibly boost you up?
I've been considering it. I need to go through and level them up, but it's one of those where it's like, okay, I'm at this point now. I guess I can sacrifice a little bit of the damage in order to get some survivability to get up there. But it's just a placement. It's just going to be a placeholder for when I get the Unity.
Right. Yeah. So I guess it mostly depends on if you're in a rush, and if you want to get that Lionhearted. I'm not even sure. Is that board still open?
Oh no, that was gone this weekend. When I checked it on Sunday, it was already done.
Dang. So yeah, I guess that's that. So then, really, there is no rush then at that point.
Oh yeah, more or less. So it's at this point, I think I've not had a chance much since the weekend to play these last few days. But going into this weekend, I plan on going and working on the lore book achievement next.
Nice. Yeah, plenty of spots left for that one.
Yes, yes. But what about yourself? How has your week in gaming been, Mister Number One ranked Crusader?
It's been an interesting fight, I'll tell you that much. I still had the rest of last week off from work as I transitioned jobs, so I was grinding and taking as much advantage of that as I possibly could. As of today, I'm just a couple of Paragon levels off of 500. I was trying to get it before the show, but couldn't hit that hallmark. And this morning, actually, when I woke up and checked in on things, I had been dethroned, taken down from rank 1 after I regained it on, I think, Monday night, and held it for most of Tuesday. Someone did a 42, I think. So I have like the fastest 41 right now. And then someone did a 42 in a rather quick time as well. So it's been, and I'll say that much from that perspective, it's been really cool to see the competitiveness. It's still very early in the season, so it doesn't mean as much to hold the number 1 right now. But it's been really cool to see it change hands quite a bit, and also to see different names holding it too. So as people get geared up, they're pushing themselves to as high as they can go. And I'm just kind of observing, because I know from last season, I know like what my Crusader can do right now based on the gear I have. So I know I have a few more greater rifts in me, but I'm not like I'm not just going to do my best top 1. I'd rather like incrementally see people push it and then be like, okay, I can beat that, and then go beat it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's also one of those things. Just funny going through and looking at the greater rift placements. That Crusaders are actually, at least from the seasonal hardcore perspective, they're actually kind of towards the back of the pack. Whereas, in season 1 they were really up there as far as the competition, and now they're kind of getting outclassed by everyone else.
Yeah, it's a new dawn, a new day, and only more of that will be coming with what we'll be talking about later on. Just a complete mix-up of things. So it's kind of cool to see it already starting from now.
Yeah.
I did want to highlight one more thing from the week. The Gem of Ease. I finally gave it a go, leveled it up to, I think, 25 or 26. So not even, just enough to unlock that second part so I could put it in an ancient two-hander. I leveled up a backup Crusader for the just-in-case scenario, and it took less than 2 hours doing it solo on Torment 1. Just bounties, Act 1 bounties, Torment 1. Could not believe it. The first, 1 to 50 might have been in 2 games. It was ridiculous how fast the XP was coming in.
Dang.
Yeah.
That seems pretty quick.
So, I mean, I know people still love their power levels, but give that Gem of Ease a try. You'll be happy to know you can do it on your own as well.
And that's something that I like, because I never really liked power leveling, going through and finding someone, it's like, hey, can you waste an hour and a half, 2 hours of your time when you could be going through and grinding Torment 6 to help me level up my character?
It just people I guess it's nice because people are missing that communal aspect of give me a rush, or give me, a trade me your chip gems or whatever the heck. But that's one of the last bastions of helping other people, is helping them power level, I guess.
Yep.
So. Oh well, Gem of Ease it, because it's awesome.
Yeah. That is pretty ridiculous. Pretty ridiculous.
But yeah, let's see. Oh. I think I could talk about more things, but I don't even want to. There's so much to do.
Yeah, we got some we got a little bit of news to cover. Ever so slightly.
Where should we go first?
I guess one of the big things, or I guess it was a big thing that we had last week, was we had the first look at the patch 2.2, a kind of a post that came out of nowhere, to going through and talking about that apparently patch 2.2 is coming sooner than any of us expected, or any of us even hoped. That we were expecting at least another month or so before we even got a PTR, and here it is that the PTR launched shortly before the episode started. And obviously it talks about some stuff and some philosophy in that post, but we'll be going over what we actually know about it instead of covering what was kind of alluded to in that. And that kind of also shines some light on, we have the round 6 of the Play Your Way stream coming up on March 6th, which is Friday of next week, and I expect a lot of discussion on patch 2.2 in that live stream. That one is pretty much going to be, it's featuring a wizard build, but it's going to be a patch 2.2 conversation is what it's going to be.
Yeah, I feel like you can't throw down this PTR. You can't throw down all this hype for the next huge content patch and then have a thing where you put devs on the screen and not expect it to be laden with questions about the next coming patch. And I'm sure because Jake will be there, he will make sure that the conversation is wizard-centric, and he'll be talking about the new Delcir's Magnum Opus and all the different possible builds and change to Firebirds and all that good stuff.
Yep. And of course, coming from JH, it's also going to be a lot of high level analysis of the game, so we can expect some pretty good questions coming on it about where they're taking the game, and hopefully maybe some things about some events or game modes yet unveiled.
Yes. Hopefully, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. So that's March 6th, not this coming Friday, but the next. And it'll be kicking off at 4 p.m. PST. Or actually, I guess it'll be... No, is that daylight savings time by then? I think that's next, the weekend that comes after that. So it'll be 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Whether it's standard or daylight time is yet to be seen.
Yep, it's always easiest just to say Pacific time.
Yeah. Yep.
For the specific time.
Eastern and specific. So yeah, something to look forward to. And the wizard actually finally showed up. The wizard that won.
It's a first. This is the third player way that's been won by a wizard, and the first one that will actually end up streaming.
Truly a glorious thing. Following along on that, we also got some news earlier this week, I think, or maybe it was even late last week. The days are all running together at this point. But we got a posting from Nevilistus letting us know that they're, if you're going to be seeing some things, some patches perhaps going up, you'll probably also see some data mining going up. So this was kind of our first hint that the PTR for the patch 2.2 was right around the corner. But she presented a blue post in the forums just talking about, hey, you're going to see some things in there. We want to give you a heads up. It's not for the Americas region. It's not for the Europe region. And they didn't really say which region it was for, but you only have one region left after that. So
yeah, pretty much. It's just like the Asian region. And what it goes through to talk about is that they wanted to be upfront and say, look, there's going to be some new strings you're going to find that involves microtransactions and real money transactions. And this isn't coming to you. This is strictly basically for the Asian realms, and don't blow it out of proportion. Don't think that the sky is falling, because it's not going to happen on the American or European realms.
So yeah, it looks like what a lot of people have been hoping for is coming to the game, which are microtransactions, the ability to buy stash space, the ability to buy cosmetic items such as wings, perhaps interesting transmogs. But we personally here in America across the pond will not be seeing them as yet anyways. The post does say at the bottom, while we may explore this model in some regions, we have no immediate plans to implement such purchases or for the aforementioned features anytime soon for the Americas. So there's a glimmer of hope that maybe this could come to us. But one of the most controversial parts of this, and something that I think a lot of people would like us to talk about, is the fact that people will be able to purchase experience boosts for a certain amount of time.
Yep. And it has everything for I believe it was a 25% experience boost, a 25% blood shard boost, and a 25% gold find boost that you can buy. And I imagine it'd probably be timed, like for maybe a couple days or for 7 hours of in-game time or something along those lines. I'm not really sure what it is that they have in store for that. But this really just ties into that not a lot of people, at least in Europe or America, realize is just how different the gaming culture is, in the Asian markets, in Korea, in China, and such. And where over there you don't own games. It's like the metrics over there don't really tie into number of like store bought copies,
Right.
because you kind of, it's more of a rental basis. Even though it's, here, it's just like it's $60, $40, go buy the game, it's yours forever. Over there, you can pay like a couple dollars a month, like $3 a month, in order to get a pass, in order to subscribe to the game and go and play. Or some of them might even just be free to play, and the entire game is supported through microtransactions. And over there, that's the standard. That's the gold standard for like the Korean and Chinese games that they play. It's like there might be a very low entry cost or no cost whatsoever, and then everything in the game is microtransaction. And over there, it's fine. One of the big conversations we have, in the Western groups is like pay to win.
Pay to win. Yeah.
Over there, pay to win is the standard. It's like if the game is not pay to win, something's wrong. It's like why can't I buy something more powerful, as opposed to over here, where it's like it's not fair that he can spend real money in order to gain power. So it's an interesting dynamic, and it's just evolving the game to better suit that niche market, because it is a huge market, and you want to try and do your best to get revenue streams set up over there. And obviously, one of the big things that a lot of people are looking at is like the premium, the non-pay to win stuff, like the additional character slots, or the premium portraits, or the cosmetic items that you can go through and purchase. And a lot of people would actually like to see that added into the American and European realms. It's like if I can pay $1 for the the 8-pointed star of chaos in order to put around my portrait. That one, I have to say, Jay Wilson just busted into the Diablo 3 team and said, "You're adding this into the game because it's a Warhammer reference. You're doing it." And yeah, so it's some interesting things. Interesting things.
No, I think
the sky is not falling.
The sky is not falling, and I think it's worth noting that kind of the going theory here is that this is going to be targeted specifically for China. A lot of people have been I think even some Chinese correspondents have written in and said they're noticing things happening over there in terms of gearing up for this. So it seems all but confirmed that this is targeted for that specific country. And from some of the things like you're talking about that were data mined, we saw like, there are weekly leaderboards over there, and it seems as if there will be almost like a separate realm, or like it will be almost like placed aside. So it's kind of like you have your season 2 leaderboard, and then you have this thing that's happening in China as well too. So I'm not even sure that there will be any sort of like cross contamination, if you will, of that pay to win. Oh, this guy bought all this experience and he's ruining the Paragon leaderboards. Like, it might not even factor in. So before we do claim the sky's falling, we have to see what actually happens, and B, based on what you've said and based on what I'm starting to learn, I don't feel as if it's going to have as huge of an impact as people are thinking.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
That's where we stand on that for now. But in general, I would love to buy like some new. And I've never been the kind of person, like, I didn't think I would like transmog, right? When it first was introduced for Reaper, I was like, I'm not playing with my Barbies over here. I'm killing things, man. And I love me some transmog now. So I wouldn't buy.
He says that his Barbie has a new look every other day.
Right? Oh, man. Actually, one of the things I was stoked about, this is like a precursor to what we're about to jump into, but I got on the PTR super quickly, and I paused the game while I was in it to go and tweet something out. And I noticed that my character's wings were displaying on the pause screen, because normally it's just your character. If you have the wings or the dog or whatever, they don't show. But the wings were like gloriously like flapping on the pause screen. I was floored. And that's like like, I'm a hardcore like lowercase and uppercase H player, and I'm about grinding the game, but I had to just stop for a moment and appreciate that.
Yeah.
They're doing an amazing job.
They are. Just that's the next thing that they could go through and do. That's something that they experimented with a little bit in World of Warcraft. Is just they have premium transmogs that you can purchase.
Premium. You put that word out there and everyone wants it all of a sudden.
Yep, and it becomes unfair and should be removed.
I mean, we'll see. I feel like there's always a feeling before something happens, and then there's a different feeling when it actually is available. So, well, we will see in the future. Are you ready for this?
No, no, can't handle it. Not
We're
ready.
we're about to
No,
step into
can't do
the
this.
time warp that is patch 2.2.0 PTR notes review preview dissemination insemination. I don't know anymore. But my God, are there a ton of things to talk about? So much is changing with this patch.
This is like, I think the only thing that can rival this is Reaper Souls itself.
Seriously, when you
Like this, like patch 2.1 can't even compare.
Not no, and you think about some of the other major patches when the game was first released, things that adding monster power, which was huge, adding Paragon, which was huge, like big features, big systems, and this patch has basically the equivalent of all of that and more. Like I can't even. I guess when we really think about the fact that we saw this November 2014, and they were probably working on it prior to that, and then we think about the amount of time that has elapsed since and the complaints that have been issued since, it's obvious that this needed the amount of time that has transpired because there's so much here that we didn't even know we were getting.
Yeah. We knew about the sets. We heard about the new zone, which unfortunately will not be making it to 2.2. So the Ruins of Shesharon are going to be coming in another patch later on.
That's correct.
But then, we get like a revamp on even more items. We get some skill changes. We get loads of new bounties, and that we didn't even know that we were getting.
It's just I can, like, whenever I start to think about it and I want to say things about it, I find no things. I've lost all the things because they took him and put him in the game.
Almost everything your heart ever wanted.
Seriously, man.
Yeah. Well, we'll be keeping our discussion tonight about things that are actually in the patch notes. I do want to go through and say that if you go and take a look at some of the posts about some of the data mine stuff that you can find either on over on BlizzPro or on Diablo fans and such, some of the just interesting things that they've found, that they've gone and found strings for. It's like this is just like poking the head into the rabbit hole. It goes far deeper than that.
Tip of the iceberg, yeah, man. Unreal.
Yeah.
All right, no more fluttering about. Let's do this.
Okay.
We'll start with a really mundane thing, but it'll actually probably be well received by everyone. Health potions are gone. Regular health potions, that is. So no more will you have to worry about auto picking up those stupid little red things on the ground and being like, okay, now I have them. Although honestly they weren't bothering me as much because they stack so high now and just had one little stack in your inventory. But you don't even have to worry about that inventory space being taken up anymore because now it's just going to be a button on your bar until you replace it with a legendary potion. Which is exciting.
Yeah, and that's one less thing, I guess, that might be pushing it a little bit towards like auto pickup of certain crafting mats or maybe even gems, because now it's one less thing that the game engine has to contend with for the auto pickup. They can remove that and then then go back in and just kind of fit gems in instead.
I like that theory.
So yeah.
And actually, before we proceed further, you did note that tonight the PTR went live shortly before we went live, and this is Wednesday night, of course. And we should also note that right now, live on the PTR for we're not sure how long, there is a 2,000% buff to legendaries. So if you want to get geared up with this brand new stuff we're about to get into, now is the time to hop in. And unfortunately, it means that there are already crazy long queues. When I was trying to get in just an hour and a half ago or so, it was about a 5-minute wait, and now people are reporting 15 minutes and longer. So it will only go up from here.
Yeah, Droth in chat has said that his queue for the PTR server has been stuck at 15 minutes for 45 minutes.
Yeah, definitely don't go by the time that's listed there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so we have a bit of a snatch moment going on there. How long can I log it? How long until I can log into the PTR? Oh, 3 minutes Turkish.
I don't even know what's happening right now.
Oh yeah, that's right. You don't watch movies.
No, I got nothing for you.
How long? Oh, 5 minutes Turkish. Wait, you told me 3 minutes 4 minutes ago. 5 minutes Turkish.
I'll insert a laugh track there for you.
Okay, all right. Someone out there will get the joke.
Someone's got your back.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. Let's do this because I'm excited. We'll take this class by class. Does that work for you?
Sounds good.
Actually, let's take it main stat by main stat because I noticed it's Barb and Crusader first, and I think this is in alphabetical order, but the alphabetical order happens to be.
Going through and looking at it, yeah, it is pretty much set up exactly like that. Isn't
that weird? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm gonna start with Barb, and there are a couple of interesting skill changes, and then one really exciting one. So Hammer of the Ancients, Rolling Thunder, is being changed or finagled a little bit so that it should now more reliably hit nearby enemies in front of the Barb. That's fine. Rend with the skill rune Mutilate, it was fixed that it fixed an issue that prevented the rune from increasing the damage of itself, which sounds so meta, but basically I think it means that the skill will actually be able to do more damage because the skill itself grants more damage.
Yep, this is one that actually they've made a change to a couple other things, such as one of the haunt runes on the Witch Doctor. Oh, spoilers for future content in the episode. It's just basically, it makes it so that it applies a debuff to the enemy that increases the amount of damage that they take from all sources, except from itself.
Gotcha.
Mutilate, makes it so that way that it's chilled, and then that all damage on it, is increased by 10%, except for the Rend damage. Now it will properly scale by an additional 10%.
Perfect. This next one is sure to excite because, well, actually, I'm sure that Rend one will excite as well because that's just fixing one of your options for your new builds that we'll be talking about later. But this next skill, Whirlwind, the radius was increased from 8 to 9 yards. And I'm sure we'll be seeing that come into effect when people throw on their new Barb set because now Whirlwind will be even better than it already was. And last but not least, the reason that I will probably play Barb in Season 3, like maybe exclusively, no promises right now, but Nerves of Steel has been redesigned to be a cheat death passive. We have arrived, Barbs. We struggled. We died a lot. Blaze actually lost his Barb 2 hours before this show started, believe it or not. He got chain frozen, and he was ranting and raving about how he wished he had a cheat death pass. I was like, hey, have you read the patch notes yet? He was like, no, why? And I just laughed. But yes, Nerves of Steel has been reworked so that fatal damage, instead of killing you, reduces you to 15% life, and then for 3 seconds afterward, you take 95% reduced damage and are immune to all control impairing effects. And this occurs once every 60 seconds. Damn. So exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty nice, and that one is actually like ridiculously powerful. I mean, it's one of those ones kind of adjusting with the Witch Doctor after playing with the Demon Hunter for so long that you're stuck at that 15% life, and when you're only at 15% life and you just procced it, you feel vulnerable.
You're not out of the woods.
Really vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so it's like you might think like that 3 seconds is a long amount of time, but I almost lost my Witch Doctor last week because I got a little bit frantic and I accidentally clicked off the screen, and that was the longest 2 seconds of my life. Having to click back in and try and get out of like this rave party of arcane beams all sitting around my character, because as soon as that buff wore off, I would be dead if I was still in that area.
For sure.
Potion was on cooldown. I was still waiting for Jaunt to come off of cooldown. It was scary stuff, only being at 15% health, but 95% reduced damage and immune to all crowd controlling effects for 3 seconds. That stacks it up there.
That'll help you get out of dodge real quick.
Yeah, I want to say that's almost as good as the Demon Hunter's Awareness.
I would agree.
Yeah, because that one is like, it heals you to the 50% health and then just makes you completely immune for 2 seconds.
You get like smokescreen pretty much, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the one that just needs a little bit of work now is the Wizard, because it does heal you for a lot, 45%, but it doesn't give you any damage mitigation. You just knock everything back away from you. And
I guess maybe we can still say Monk too, right? That one's so bad. Near-death experience. It's like you proc it and then you're basically about to die again anyways, right? Maybe they should change that one.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. Let's do the Crusader real quick because they didn't get much, which has always been the case for so long now, and it's alright because we got some gear coming. But for Crusaders, the only thing that's really changing is Punish is having some of its runes proc coefficients increase. So Celerity, Fury, Rebirth, and Roar, all of their proc coefficients are going up. And this is actually a pretty interesting thing, a good thing, because something that I was thinking about was adding Punish into the Condemn build instead of Zeal. And with the proc coefficient going up, then that means you might get more procs on the Miranite gems. So this could be an interesting option in Season 3.
Yeah, wasn't Punish already one of the best procs for the generators that you had?
It was really good before, yeah.
Yeah,
so
and now it got even better. And that also ties in with Roland's.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that soon.
Talking about that in a minute. Just you hold on. Yeah, moving on. It's now my turn. We've got Demon Hunter. And this one, the only change to skills is just quality of life change. You will now get a buff icon indicating how many sentries you have active, which is one of those ones which has been a big just quality of life, I guess, thing that Demon Hunters have been asking for a while. Because unless, depending upon the sentry rune that you're using, it could be really difficult to tell how many I actually have out, especially if I have a couple stacked on top of one another. It's near impossible to tell how many are actually shooting. And so this will be nice to have a little change to go through and say, you only have 3 sentries up, where are your other 2? You know, that you still have more room, you're not wasting charges.
Oh goodness, as if DH is needed any more easy mode. We can't count our sentries, okay? We need a little something to help us.
All right, listen here, Mr. Crusader. All right, listen here, Mr. 100% uptime and Akarat's champion.
Okay. Right. Let's just move along here.
We'll be moving on here, and then now monks. You got Mystic Ally, which now has the same attack speed as you do, which is a nice little change. It's going to be buffing Mystic Ally, which is, goes and ties into, again, one of their set changes to Ina's, is that they're making a little change to one of the skills to make it a little bit better, and then they're making a change to a set to make it a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then as we were just going through and talking about spoilers, near-death experience actually got a buff.
Whoa, they changed it? I didn't see that coming at all.
Oh, I thought that you were actually going through and you're joking.
I was I was. It was a setup.
Okay. All right, and yeah, so it got a buff. You now have the 2 seconds of immortality.
Ta-da!
When it rocks. Yay!
Ooh. So yeah, that should appease a lot of monks, especially. I was actually going to say especially this season, but this isn't coming. Sorry. Until next season. But for everyone that's flavor of the monthing it.
I think the monks have enough going for them right now that they can deal without having that one for season 2.
I think that's the case, yeah. But I know it was a major complaint amongst many hardcore monks, and I was seeing a lot of them dying over the weekend too. So it'll be interesting to see how many of them actually continue to live as they test out their awesome Sun Wuko sets and whatnot. And going into Innis, like you were saying as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to grab Witch Doctor as well, since it's your main squeeze right now?
Yeah, that's like one of the things of only being 2 people on the show that we've got. We have to divide up. Whereas when it was Archon and I, we were dividing up the strength classes. Now we're dividing up the int classes.
Mm-hmm.
Going on from here, Witch Doctor, they changed the haunt, the new rune Poison Spirit, which again, like with the Barbarian Rend, it's just making it so that way the damage bonus that it gives also affects the damage of the skill. As it's the haunt Poison Spirit, which was added in, was supposed to give you a 20% increased damage from all sources. It now affects itself, which was one of those that, even though it looked great on paper prior to the season coming out, when the functionality was tested on the PTR and people saw that it wasn't going through and buffing its own damage, completely useless, because most Jade Doctor builds, they only use Haunt. They don't really supplement it with Locust Swarm. So the fact that it's not increasing its own damage, even though it was increasing the damage of the Siphon Soul, wasn't that great. It could be done better. So hopefully, when that goes through, that might have a little bit of theory crafting and seeing if it can go and overcome the resentful spirits that allow you to just spread it faster. Another one, they made a little change to Hex. That one Um, what it used to do is it would basically make a little area. You summon a shaman for 12 seconds, and that it would hex like random enemies and turn them into chickens. Now it will turn all enemies within 12 yards of you into chickens instead of just one at a time. And then also you have the increased range for it, for the hexing enemies and the healing friendlies for some of the runes. And then I think it also made it to where they reduced the cooldown of how often the fetish shaman will cast the spell. As they believe it, yeah, it used to be 4 seconds. He'll now cast it every 3 seconds, so it will go through and can keep them locked down pretty hardcore.
That's legit. I kind of wanted to. I wish I had a soundboard. I wanted to intersperse like a Jay Wilson, and then we doubled it.
And then we doubled it. Arise, chicken. Arise.
Although that's definitely going to be more than a doubling. That's a lot of chicken coming out.
Yeah, that is. Especially, I mean, it's going to be a lot more than doubling because it affects more than one enemy now.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, you drop that. It's like it's almost like a direct buff to ZDPS Witch Doctors.
I honestly swear that they're fully supporting this playstyle because you throw in these new defensive gems, you throw in this change to Hex here. Like I think they're really trying to make it a thing, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because it goes through and it makes that that group dynamic. You have that support role. Even though you don't need a healer because it's a Diablo game, you have that support role that just kind of locks everything down. And so it'll be interesting to see whether Hex is going to now replace mass confusion and is going to like almost guarantee like complete and total lockdown. How are you going to get through the fears and the hexes for the group of enemies and then just running into the next pack, doing it all over again?
I'm excited.
Yep. And then the other thing is just they reduced the proc coefficient on Plague of Toads, or the Reign of Toads, which was what pet doctors used to keep up the full 15 fetishes from Fetish the Sycophants. But they also increased the proc chance, the base proc chance of Fetish Sycophants, just so that way that's just a change that they're kind of addressing. Okay, witch doctors are using Plague of Toads just to proc this ability. We need to up the proc chance baseline and reduce Reign of Toads to get people using more skills. So that way they don't feel that they have to use this one because it's the only skill they can use to keep their max 15 fetishes out at one time, which is a good change.
Right on. Yeah, a little bit more build diversity there. Sweet. All right, let's hop into some Wizard. I know that a lot of people right now are feeling Wizard is unloved in Season 2, and it's getting some sweet changes, so don't you worry. First skill that was changed here is Slow Time. That's now going to be cast at your target location, and you can do that from about 60 yards away. So that's essentially the entire screen. Yeah,
I think the longest point is 80 yards from your character to the top of the screen.
Right on.
So it's pretty much almost anywhere.
That's awesome. A couple of skill rune changes as well. So Point of No Return, the stun duration was reduced from 3 seconds to 1 second, but I believe that happens because the slow time is just going to be insane when you finally have your set and you have the what's that, like the Gesture of Orpheus and like all the other things that are going into it. You're not losing much there.
Yeah, it's a necessary change, that they had to make.
Yes. Otherwise, it'd be super OP.
Yeah, just because of how often you're going to be casting Slow Time.
Absolutely. Time and Space was just deleted from the game, just completely removed, and it's been replaced with a new skill rune called Exhaustion. And enemies caught inside Slow Time will deal 25% less damage. So in a way, it's kind of making Slow Time a little bit of a support skill there as well too. You cast that maybe around your melee range characters you're teaming up with, and if they're in trouble, they're getting knocked. I was gonna say knocked up. Wow, I'm just really digging the baby thing tonight. Yep. They're getting hit by enemies and stuff, then this will be a nice direct reduce of damage around them.
Yep, and for those that don't know, the Time and Space, basically that was a rune that allowed you to cast Slow Time at the 60-yard range.
Oh, okay.
It's now been baked in. It's a base part of the skill. So they just changed that rune, and you have a little bit more utility with it.
Beautiful. Last but not least, Time Warp. Let's do the Time Warp again.
I'll stop.
The damage boost here was increased from 10% to 15%. Everyone loves more damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Of course.
Yes, indeed. And last but not least, a little passive change. Arcane Dynamo, it has an issue fixed now that caused Nephilim Glory Orbs to consume Flash of Insight stacks when picked up. So now when you pick up those Nephilim Glory Orbs, they will not interfere with your stacks of Flash of Insight, which is good. And there was also an issue fixed that was removing your Flash of Insight stacks when you spake to any NPC.
Spake.
I spake to you. So they're basically just making it so Arcane Dynamo is a little more consistent and not buggy, which is good.
Very much so. So right. a lot of interesting skill changes, and like we were kind of mentioning that a lot of these skill changes are only half the equation. That you just see them tweaking little things, like it seems that they nerfed slow time, point of no return, but that's just because you're going to be casting it so often you won't even notice.
Mm-hmm. It's like the two sides of the coin. There's the skill side and there's the gear side, and so when something changes on the skill side, you also have to go and look and say, well, what did they do with the gear too? And they could be compensating for making a super huge buff on one side by saying, okay, we have to do like a slight nerf on the other side.
Yeah, it's like a rainforest. Even changing the tiniest little thing will have huge repercussions on everything else.
That ripple effect.
Yep.
All right.
I've started rewatching IT Crowd again. I watched that episode last night. So there.
I like it. Well, let's jump into some items, man.
All right.
This is the exciting stuff right here. Something that we were talking about before the show started. You'll be able to get the max discipline affix on bows and crossbows now, as well as hand crossbows, which previously was only hand crossbows that could get it.
And this is just a nice change. It was that you could get it on hand crossbows, which was nice. It was never really one, besides the Calamity, obviously, that one just compensated for it. Most of the starter builds you'd end up using a bow or a crossbow just for the sheer damage that it did, or something like Treyu for the cold damage.
Yep.
And now you have that max discipline on, which again ties into the fact that the new Unhallowed set being added for Demon Hunters allows your damage to scale off of discipline.
Which, by the way, is the sexiest of the sets. And you might say, wait, I saw the wizard and she was half naked. But that Demon Hunter armor looks so... I want to just transmog every character I have into that somehow, hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh, so beautiful. But in any case, yes, max discipline coming in, direct buff to the Unhallowed, is it Unhallowed Essence set?
Yes, Unhallowed Essence.
So yeah, some good things coming there. We have another change here where all crafted rare items are no longer account bound, so I guess you can kind of...
It's confirmed the developers are going through and they're buffing trading. Real Money Auction House is coming back. You heard it here first.
You're such a troll. Oh man, guys, buffs to trading in this next patch as well. Things you really didn't expect that were coming. Craft all the rare items you want and then just give them to your friends.
Yeah.
Trade them up.
Yeah, at one point I would have said that this would have been awesome, because if you had farmed up the Archon pieces at level 60, you can now trade them to other people to help someone get geared up a little bit faster. But with the just playing through the seasons, it's so ridiculously easy to get geared nowadays that it's like this one change is kind of like, if they didn't make the change, it wouldn't have really mattered. It's like, but it's nice that they did. We thank you for it. You buffed trading. That's all we ever could have asked for.
Aren't you thankful?
Aren't you thankful?
This next one is the exciting ring, and when I saw the percent on this, I said, wait, what? And then I did a double take and a triple take and an extra take. The BlizzCon Elemental Ring, which I hope gets a different name.
Yeah, I was about to comment on that one. That seems like a very interesting named item.
I wonder where this one arose from originally. Maybe that BlizzCon thing that happens. This ring is the one that was, of course, designed at BlizzCon 2014 by the crowdsourced ring. And its power is officially going to be gain 150 to 200% increased damage to a single element for 5 seconds. And this effect will rotate through the elements available to your class in the following order: Arcane, Cold, Fire, Holy, Lightning, Physical, Poison. That's alphabetical order, I just realized. So maybe that's the rhyme and reason there. And then there's also a note that Cold is not included for Crusaders, which is cool, but we also don't have Poison skills. So I wonder why they took Cold out but not Poison.
Well, I guess that's probably because you have one Hammer of Wrath skill that does cold damage, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, that's one of those ones. If you don't have, because it says it rotates through elements available to your class, you have no poison skills.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so poison isn't there.
So it wouldn't be there anyways.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And you just happen to also have one skill out of everything that you have that can do cold damage.
Right. And I think there might be a consecration rune that also is like freezes or something. So
yeah,
we have like very few.
Yeah, whereas it's like there's no witch doctor skills that do arcane. So it's not gonna have that in there.
Right.
Same thing with there's no longer any demon hunter skills that do poison, which makes me sad thematically. So it's just not gonna rotate through that.
Yeah. Oh, and Nevilistus is saying there's a sweep skill as well that has a cold rune too. So I guess there's a few, but not enough to warrant leaving it on that ring, because it would just be a bit of a debuff at that point. But do you think this will be used? That percent is huge.
It is. I mean, that is ridiculous, and that is actually something that I would like to see them do with like elemental damage going forward into the game. Just remove it as passive things off of items and make it kind of like a rotating proc like that, in order to get you to use multiple elemental skills or something along those natures. But it is. I mean, I guess that's going to be the big question for people to find and test. Is it multiplicative or additive? If it's additive, it's not as big of as an increase as it looks.
Right.
If it's multiplicative, then yeah, this is who cares if you have 4 skills and so you're only getting the bonus 1/4 of the time. It's huge. It is worth it.
I've got to imagine it's multiplicative, because the elemental damage right now is in general. So I don't know why they would change it just for this one ring.
It's because the 200 that's a lot of damage.
I know, man.
That's a lot of damage,
dude. Power creep. It's coming.
Oh
boy. All right. Before we get too crazy, I suppose we should just keep going.
Okay,
do you want to take the next few?
The Boots of Disregard have not been disregarded. It looks like they went through and they've addressed a bunch of this seems a holdover from patch 2.1.2. They took a bunch of items: the Boots of Disregard, the Potion of Leech, Potion of Mutilation, Potion of Regeneration, like the Captain Crimson's set bonus, Guardian's Jeopardy set bonus, a bunch of things that increased your life per second, life on hit, life per kill, that never got buffed when they increased all of the healing in patch 2.1.2. So this is just them going back and addressing that. It's like lifting those all up to what a better level that they should be at.
Right on. Yeah, they did that for several potions. For the Boots of Disregard. Yeah,
Potion of Leech. Right now it increases your life on hit by 1,500 to 3,000. In the patch, it's going to be 15,000 to 20,000. So it's actually going to be, significant, and something that you will notice for that that brief period of time when it's active.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like for the most part the bottom end was increased by. Well, I can't even say conclusively, but I was gonna say like about 10, a factor of 10. But in some other cases, even a factor of 3. Like for the bottomless Potion of Regeneration, life, it went from 25,000 to 75,000 at the bottom end. So that's really good stuff.
Yep. So that's just a bunch of items. So if there is a set bonus that involved with in some way of healing you, and it wasn't increased in patch 2.1.2. It's being increased now.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see. So I guess we can just skip a few of the rest of those then as well too. Captain Crimson's the life per second got increased there as well.
Yep.
Go ahead.
One of the other things is the Bastions of Will, the ring, the two-piece ring, the focus and restraint. It used to be your primary resource spenders that spent resources dealt an additional 50% damage when you're at full resources. That's being changed, and now it is all of the damage that you do is increased by up to 100% based on how much of your primary resource you have remaining. So that's going to be one of those. That's going to be interesting for some classes that spend a lot of their time at max resources. Like some of the. It's going to be an interesting dynamic, and the first thing that kind of jumps out at me is like pet witch doctors, which a lot of them are based around a primary skill, and they just sit at maximum mana the entire time. They don't have any mana spenders. One of the things that we'll get to is Zunimasa's is being changed to increase damage when you actually use a mana spender, and now you have also the Bastions of Will, which will increase you, which just doubles all of your damage if you're sitting at maximum resources.
Right.
So interesting things there.
It's definitely an option. I'm assuming it's still not going to, because you're still taking 2 rings to get this effect, and I feel like that's. And then you introduce like the BlizzCon ring. It's like, come on. I think it'll be maybe like an interesting thing to play with, maybe an alternative when you're like really well geared in T6 and you just want to try other things out. But I don't know. Maybe they need more here.
Yeah, it's one. You're giving up Unity. And obviously you're giving up whatever off-piece you would be using a Ring of Royal Grandeur for or Stone of Jordan. I would imagine that this scaling damage bonus is going to be multiplicative, in order for it to compete with just flat damage of Stone of Jordan.
Right. Yep.
And if that's the case, I mean, that is going to be better than a Stone of Jordan by itself. Whether it can actually make up for the lack of survivability that a Unity gives you, or the build changing aspect of Ring of Royal Grandeur. Because if you're using something like what is it, a Jade Doctor? Sorry, I've been playing a lot of Witch Doctors, so a lot of my examples are going to be Witch Doctor. If you don't
Imagine
like it,
that.
deal with it. Your off piece doubles the damage of that you're putting out, because it doubles the effective DPS of your Haunt, and it doubles the effective DPS of your Soul Drain. This this change here is just going to give you that. It's going to replace your Ring of Royal Grandeur and your Stone of Jordan or your Unity, and give you that same bonus that a Ring of Royal Grandeur and dang it, now I forgot the name of it. The Quetzalcoatl Mask is going to give you. Right. So it's like, that's one particular instance where, this isn't going to be all that great.
I see what you're saying.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays in for other classes and other builds, depending upon what their off-piece does for them. Something
I actually would like to see possibly happen with this is make the rings also one of those class of rings that has the 5 primaries. Because you know how some of them have like that extra movement speed, and then you roll the movement speed into your socket, and you still get a chance for like crit damage and other stuff. So I think that might maybe help to keep them somewhat more competitive. So
yeah, definitely would.
Places to take it.
And probably one of the other things that they might want to do is on focus, it always rolls with reduces skill cooldown. Just although for some classes that is your best stat. For others, it's useless. If they one of them is attack speed, if they change the other to like say always rolls crit, then you're just cutting down on RNG and you're making that ring more attractive at that point. I don't want to say godly, but it will it will make it more attractive because it just reduces the chances of it being bad. Right on.
Continuing in the ring discussion too, they made some changes to the puzzle ring. People love their treasure goblins. So the helper here, spawned by this item, treasure goblin guy, he will pick up items in a larger radius, which is always good. And then also he will run faster to pick up those items. So it's just a little bit of quality of life changes for your treasure goblin helper picking up those items and possibly getting you that legendary that you want out of that ring. And I guess there were also some bugs with this too, where this is kind of funny. There was a chat message that said you killed a treasure goblin whenever someone who was wearing a puzzle ring died. It's kind of funny. And then there was also another side to it as well, where they would get the treasure goblin lore book granted to players when a person died while having the puzzle ring equipped. So the game essentially kept thinking you were killing a treasure goblin. All right, so that's been changed. This is one of my favorite changes. Ramalani's gift can stack up to 100 now. First world problems.
First world problems indeed.
Oh,
my RNG is coming full circle on this one, because I think, what was it, last season I found 4 before you found your first one? And then now I am still searching for some Ramalani's to come into my life.
Trying to get the number 1 ding dong.
Yeah, trying to get that number 1 ding dong.
We actually have taken to calling it Ronald McDonald's now and calling it a Happy Meal.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, see? Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you are rolling in gifts, Happy Meals, Ramalani's, they will stack up to 100, which is just a nice quality of life change. Let's admit it.
Yep, it is. It definitely is.
Alright. What else do we have here? Let's see. Oh, the Obzod.
Yeah, one thing to note here that they did as a disclaimer for these sets of next items that they have coming in, that the following changes will only be applied to new items. So even though other items, have dropped and have the same name, they will not have these abilities added to them. It's like only the new versions of the items that will drop will have the added legendary powers, to some of the legendary items that are being given a new unique power, such as the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac. Only the new ones are going to have this ability. They're not adding it to the old ones. So if you don't start hoarding them because you think they're going to get buffed, unfortunately, not.
Yeah. Although we do have to make an exception that the sets are getting the retroactive changes.
Yep. Sets will be done retroactively, and I think John Yang was actually talking about that on Twitter previously, because it created an interesting dynamic how you would be equipping multiple pieces of a set, but because they're 2 different sets, it's not activating any of your set bonuses.
Just to make things clean.
Yep.
So the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, I guess this is the last part of the ring changes here. It's getting a power that reduces the remaining cooldown of one of your skills by 1 second each time you spend a resource. And I still don't think that this will redeem this ring as a useful one. Yeah.
Nah, it's maybe if it did all of your skills by 1 second.
That was my thought.
Oh, so many classes use so many skills with cooldowns, and there's just better ways of reducing cooldowns, across the board for most classes.
Agreed. Agreed. Oh well, they're trying though. They're doing things.
Yeah. There's someone somewhere is going to make it work. But
stop trying to make Obzod happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
All right, this is a big section here. We're talking the class sets now. We're talking class-specific items changing and being introduced. I don't even know how we're going to tackle this. Let's just start. Barbarian, Mortal King's Call, the IK set. Well-loved back in vanilla Diablo. It has been redesigned. The 2-set bonus, your Call of the Ancients lasts forever. 4-set bonus, the Call of the Ancients melee attacks deal 600% weapon damage in a 15-yard radius. And your 6-set bonus, the duration of your Wrath of the Berserker is increased by 0.25 seconds each time an Ancient deals damage. And this is where Nineball and I were having a little bit of a heated debate as to if this marks the return of permanent Wrath of the Berserker.
And the math kind of does go through and show, because you only need to have your Ancients doing 1.3 attacks per second, 1.3 repeating of course, attacks per second in order to get it to be having 4 total attacks per second, giving you the 1 second per second increased duration, making it permanent. But it's whenever whenever it deals damage. If it's on a per attack basis, you're fine, which is a little bit of attack speed. If it's on a per enemy basis, it's just, it's not even. You don't even need to bother doing any math behind it. It's just going to be done. Because each one of their attacks now is AoE.
Right, yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah. And, this is one of those things. It's like, Blizzard, you told us that you weren't interested in going through and, bringing back permanent Archon or permanent Wrath of the Berserker. And then, Archon was made more or less, permanent through Veers. But, other builds eclipsed it. And then, Akrat's Champion is permanent, through Akons, and then now you're going back and making Wrath of the Berserker permanent. What about permanent Vengeance?
I knew you were going to go there.
You said you don't want to do it, and then you go and you do it, and you're adding it back in. It's like, God damn it, Blizzard. Come on.
Don't you like fun, 9-Ball? Fun for every class except for the one you play?
I do like fun, and I like Vengeance, and it's 15 seconds for a 2-minute cooldown, and it's like Demon Hunter doesn't get much use out of cooldown reduction, or that severe of an amount of cooldown reduction. Maybe I'll go through and start using the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac.
It's for you! Yeah,
exactly, just so that way I can go through and try and make my own pseudo-permanent Vengeance build and show you all how it's done.
We'll be waiting for that video.
Yeah.
We want
coming
the evidence.
soon in patch 1.1.
With PvP, yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited. If you couldn't tell about this set, the pet Barb will be in full force. It's going to give Tasker another home. And so... Maybe it might not even be necessary.
Yeah,
but we're very excited about this one, and they also introduced a brand new set of legendary pants to kind of assist this build. They grant Wrath of the Berserker every rune, which is just nasty. It's gonna be so good. And of course, the boots that were previewed in the patch 2.2.0 preview, seismic treads. These are the ones that granted ground stomp, causing an avalanche, which is pretty cool. So that's something else to look forward to. And then, of course, how can we even forget a brand new set, Wrath of the Wastes, which is the Rend and Whirlwind set that was introduced and previewed at BlizzCon 2014. The 2-set bonus is that Rend deals 400% increased damage. 4-set bonus is that Rend lasts 400% longer. And the 6-set bonus is that Whirlwind deals 400% more damage to enemies affected by Rend. And of course, there is the rework to the Skull Grasp, which will give it, I think it's 400 to 450% extra damage on Whirlwind. So
if you're wondering the changes that they're making to the Whirlwind Barb set, just remember 400 and you'll be fine. Because pretty much no matter what it applies to, it's 400.
Over 400?
Over 400? No, it doesn't sound right.
Not as good, no.
Nope.
So that is Barbs, man. Between those 2 sets, between Cheat Death passive, they are getting all the Ronald McDonald's. They're getting all the gifts. I'm loving it.
You're loving it.
And can we get a sponsorship, by the way? McDonald's?
Yeah.
I'm saying. Just saying.
Just saying. And if you're not sure where that came from, go back and watch episode 38.5.
Yes. The Weird Night.
Yeah, I don't know if that even made it into the episode, or somewhere in that 7-hour stream you can find it. Where it is, I don't know.
This is bonus coverage.
Yep.
I will keep going here because next is Crusader on this alphabetical list. There's a new
one thing to be mentioned is that the Wrath of the Waste set is going to change.
Oh,
it's mentioned in the focus feedback thread that is posted, so that way it is not final, as we are being updated by Nevilistus in chat.
Beautiful. Okay, so certain different things to look forward to.
There you go.
All right. Let's see. The Crusader has a couple of new things coming as well. We're getting a new belt where Justice spawns a Blessed Hammer when it hits an enemy. Okay.
Is it just me, or does that feel like it would have been better as pants?
Hammer pants?
Hammer pants.
Oh.
Now you get it.
Yep.
Yep.
Hammer time. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been a sweet rework for the Hammer Jammers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. They seem to have been wanting to leverage the belt slot for Crusaders in particular.
I understand. I mean, obviously, you don't want to go through and do that for the sake of a joke, unless you do. I would, but I'm not a game developer, so I guess there's that. But yeah, the belt slot is not really used for any sets, so it's a great place along with bracers to go through and add in bonuses or unique legendary powers too, because it doesn't interfere with your set,
Right.
so you can equip it in addition to other things.
But the joke is certainly not lost, and would have been a great opportunity.
It would have been.
And Nevelist is putting her stamp on it.
Yep. Glad I'm not the only one.
There it is. It's something that
Well,
I don't.
You know what they have to do? They
What?
just have to go through, make it a pant item, and then add a new Crusader set that doesn't have a pant, that isn't using the pants slot. That's all focused around Blessed Hammer.
Ooh, I'm down for that.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
There you go. It just has to be done.
Take it to the bank.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a rework for Roland's Legacy. I'm so excited because I thought Crusaders are going to be left out in the cold. They were like, all the Legacy sets are going to get a change. And actually, I just realized this is like completely random, but it's called Roland's Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's not a Legacy set from vanilla, it's Legacy.
Yes.
Yeah. Am I pushing too hard for that?
I'll allow it.
Okay. Cool. Perfect.
I'll allow it.
So Roland's Legacy is also getting a change along with these Legacy sets. The redesign is amazing. I've play tested this for about 5 minutes, and I basically, I basically figured everything out. No, I'm kidding. But I was super impressed by what I saw, because I was on my non-seasonal Crusader that I geared up in Season 1 with the Roland set just to test it out. And I went, like I was telling Nineball, I went and did a quick bounty in Act 3. And it was one of the brand new bounties, by the way, which is pretty cool. You had to go and find some catapults and raise them and things like that. And they were in random locations, not like where they're usually found in Act 3. And what else happened? Oh, so I was using Sweep Attack, and I was using the Golden Flens, is that, or whatever. The one that gives Sweep Attack Wrath. I forget. I think it's the Golden Flens. And oh my goodness, it was getting like 160 million crits on Sweep Attack. On Sweep Attack. Not a game. Talk about practice. Okay, so what has been changed here is that the 2 set bonus is every use of Shield Bash and Sweep Attack reduces the cooldown of your laws and defensive skills by 1 second. So we're basically talking about permanent Iron Skin here. The 4 set bonus is damage bonus increase from 100% to 500%, and it's now multiplicative. And now you understand 160 mil crits. And this is like from a build that was not tuned, from a build that was not ready for any of this at all. So it's going to be insane. So that's again for Shield Bash and for Sweep Attack. They are getting that bonus up from 100 to 500%, and it's multiplicative. And then the 6 piece is staying the same. That's the one where you get oh man, was it 6 or sorry?
The attack speed.
5 stacks, yeah, attack speed.
Yeah,
for 3 seconds.
20% attack speed for every time that you use Shield Bash or Sweep Attack.
Exactly. And
Why am I telling you this?
Because I'm too flustered to know right now. Oh my gosh. It's so good, guys. And then they also added bracers to complement this set. Shield Bash bracers, which is just a placeholder name. When your Shield Bash hits 3 or less enemies, its damage is increased by 300 to 400%, and 50% of the wrath cost is refunded. Whew, just breathe.
Well, I found that one as kind of like an interesting one, because Shield Bash already was a decent single target spell, just because it had such a narrow focused AoE.
Yes, it's true. And now it's even better at that job.
Even better. It's kind of set up that it is your single target spell now. And Sweep Attack will take over for your AoE clearing, and then you'll Shield Bash down the bosses.
Yeah, it really seems fit to be your elite killer, your elite pack killer for this certain build. So
and you get that 100% attack speed stacking bonus. You stack that with Laws of Valor, and it has a little bit of a feel of old Smite barbs coming, or not Smite barbs, old Smite paladins coming back a little bit with that set.
And I think
with your like 16 attacks per second or something like that.
Just obscene. And yeah, I think the thing to really focus or to think about here too is the wrath cost being 50% of it being refunded because it's a
Hmm.
pretty heavy spender.
Yeah.
But then you pair it up with the Pero Morello, which is a shield you can craft for Crusaders, lowers the cost of Shield Bash. So it's so many good things coming. Roland will be able to compete with the Khan. The part of it that was the worst part, which is that you were super squishy, is going to be circumvented. Good things are coming, people. Good things.
Hmm.
And last but not least, there's also another build that lets slash attack in all directions. Omni slash sounds cool. Little
Uh,
thing that's going down.
in before Cloud Strife.
Yes, that's what I was
Hmm.
thinking.
Yep.
Hit us with some Demon Hunter, man. I'm sick. I'm excited about all these.
All right, Demon Hunter. Let's see. I'm gonna do this a little bit out of order.
Okay.
Um, the Natalia set bonus. We got this one in the last Play Your Way. They were John Yang was going through and talking about the idea behind the Natalia's rework, and its 4-piece set bonus now is changing. The 2-piece set bonus is staying the same, so it's still the 250 dexterity and the 10% maximum discipline. It has the 4-piece set bonus, which I guess this might be replacing both the 3 and the 4-piece set bonus. I'm not sure. I haven't logged on to the PTR yet in order to actually go and take a look at my Natalia set and see what the change is. But it makes it so that way the cooldown of Rain of Vengeance is reduced by 1 second every time you use a primary skill, and 2 seconds every time that you use a Hatred Spender. So it's going to be going and really cutting down the cooldown on your Rain of Vengeance. It used to, the old 4-piece bonus was that it was 2 seconds every time that you killed an enemy, but at the higher difficulties, it didn't do you much good.
Right.
But so you'd kill a whole bunch, but it didn't actually help you kill any of them. So now it's going to be just actively attacking enemies, and when you're doing just the Rift Guardian, the single mobs and such, you're actively going to be able to reduce its cooldown and be able to use it a lot more. And the 6-piece set bonus now is Rain of Vengeance deals 800% more damage. So Natalia's is the Rain of Vengeance skill. It's going to be, this is your main go-to ability. It's gonna be pretty interesting, seeing a lot of people running around, with that build, like especially especially something like Dark Cloud, which actually will follow. It follows you around. It will target different enemies instead of just picking one spot and damaging there. So you can hit that, run, and have just a rain of arrows. It's like a little tiny thundercloud of arrows that follows you around the board.
As if Demon Hunters didn't have enough like quick speed killing type things. This will be like your speed run set.
Yeah, exactly. For once you completely overgear Torment 6, so you just run through it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then to help supplement that, they're adding in new gloves, which while Rain of Vengeance is active, you take 30 to 40% reduced damage. So they're going through and they're doing that nice little thing of a lot of the set bonuses, either the set bonus itself or something else that ties in with the set gives you a massive defensive cooldown, or some sort of massive defensive bonus. Since you're now going to have such a ridiculously low cooldown on Rain of Vengeance, is going to be up the majority of the time. The majority of the time, you're going to have that 30 to 40% reduced damage. And Natalia's doesn't use gloves, so it's not even going to take anything. You don't even have to use the Ring of Royal Grandeur in order to take advantage of that bonus.
That's beautiful.
Yep. And then of course we have the new set, the Unhallowed Essence.
Oh baby.
Yep, which it's changed just slightly, from when we've covered it previously in the show following BlizzCon. The only change is the 2-piece set bonus now generates 1 discipline instead of 2, which, given the other things that it does, is not that bad at all.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, the 4% set bonus is still, you have 40% damage reduction if there's no enemies within 10 yards of you, so that's nice. Though I think that this one actually was changed. I have to go back and double check it, but I think it used to be you gained 40% damage reduction if an enemy came within 30 yards of you.
Sounds right.
Yeah, so that one was like it gave you the damage bonus if something was nearby. Now you lose the damage bonus if something gets close to you. So it makes it so that way you wanna get away from the enemies. And then the 6-piece damage bonus is all of your generators and multi-shot deal 10% more damage for every point of discipline that you have, and you can easily get like 80 discipline, for your character, and so that's at full discipline, it's 800% damage. And I believe, from what we were told before, that this is additive; it's not multiplicative. But even then, it's ridiculous. And all of your generators and such are doing over 1,000 points or over 1,000% weapon damage now. Redunculous. Mm-hmm. And then speaking of ridiculous, they're also making a change to the Cluck Eye bow, and that it's now the chicken that it shoots out has had its damage increased from 100% weapon damage to 500% weapon damage, and that any enemy hit by the chicken is confused for 2 seconds. And then they also have a little blurb that you are probably also confused by the fact that your bow, for some reason, shoots chickens. I imagine that's probably just a little flavor add-in and doesn't actually confuse you for 2 seconds whenever you shoot a chicken.
It'd be so trolly.
Though I would love to see, or love to hear, some sort of added voice work of your character, saying something occasionally when you shoot a chicken from your bow. That would be hilarious.
I would pay. I would do a microtransaction for that voice pack.
There you go. And then just one other thing. We're going to cover this just to skip down and to cover this. The one other change is that the Dead Man's Legacy, what used to be the best in slot quiver, what was just a stat stick, and as soon as Reaper of Souls hit was the no longer best in slot quiver, is now being added to where multi-shot that hits enemies that are below 50 to 60% health, it will now be hit twice by multi-shot. Goes in great with the Unhallowed Essence. Mm-hmm. So now as soon as the enemy is under that 50 to 60% health, your multi-shot's doing double damage. Over 2,000% weapon damage on this skill is ridiculous. It is beyond ridiculous. And this is definitely going to compete with Marauders. There's 2,000% legendary drop rate on the PTR. I cannot wait to go through and start playing, collecting this, and messing around with it. I will not know what to do with the Demon Hunter. It's just going to be a kid in the candy store.
You're going to have so many choices.
Yeah.
Piece of candy.
Ooh, piece of candy.
To quote Mighty Tyrael in chat, what the cluck?
What the cluck?
That's the best way to sum it all up.
Yep.
And you actually just reminded me, there is another Crusader item that I missed because it's here at the bottom. Mm-hmm. And it's the Ivory Tower rework, and it's getting a legendary power that says blocks release forward of Fires of Heaven. And I was actually talking to Nevelissus about this one, and she said they're probably going to reword it a little bit, but the Fires of Heaven is a new thing. It's a new graphic that's just like this beam of light that flashes out of the shield and does some damage, so it should be pretty cool.
That is pretty interesting, especially with some of the sets that some of the setups that you can do where you have, particularly with Punish, where you have just a ridiculous amount of block chance.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing that I enjoyed leveling with my Crusader early into Reaper of Souls was the Punish with Roar that did the 45% weapon damage whenever you blocked an attack.
All right, so you're just going to have all these like procs of energy coming out of you.
Yeah, a block satyr.
Ooh. Coining the term already. Better get your TM on that.
I'm gonna go over to the copyright office right after the show's over.
Perfect. All right, I didn't mean to steal your thunder because there's some. Speaking of thunder, some interesting changes coming up for the next class as well.
Well, yes, we have the monk next. Ina is getting changed. It's a 2-piece set bonuses changed to now increase the passive effect of your mystic ally by 100%, as well as the base effect of your mantra by 100%. So there's some of the spirit ally runes that would say increase your damage by 10% or increase your vitality. Now that's being doubled, so they doubled it. And then you also have obviously the mantras. The base effect of the mantras are all being changed, so those will double. So you'll have the 40% increased resistances, or you'll have the ridiculous amount of life per second. with that 2-piece set bonus.
Legit.
The 6-piece set bonus also now is being added in, that your Mystic ally will copy you whenever you use Cyclone Strike, Exploding Palm, Lashing Tail Kick, 7-sided Strike, or Wave of Light. So now, essentially, whenever you use any of those skills, it goes off twice, because your Mystic ally will cast it as well.
Well, that's pretty sexy.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how that works with Cyclone Strike. How will the enemy, which direction they're going to be pulled in. but for some of them, like 7-sided Strike and especially Wave of Light, that is
as if monks weren't clearing like rifts fast enough already. Just
yeah.
Gosh, so many explosions. And I'm actually curious too, because you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there are boots, maybe the crudest boots, that do some buffing to your allies as well too, right? I think they like double the effect of them or something like that.
That one I'll have to check into. I am not sure.
So there's some synergy there.
Yeah, it allows you to have 2 Mystic allies to fight by your side. So with that equipped, that's tripling your damage whenever you use any of those skills.
Oh dear God.
Yeah.
This is not going to be the same Diablo, guys.
Nope. Not at all.
Mm-mm.
And then this is one of those ones where it doesn't mention any changes to the 4-piece set bonus, so I imagine that one is actually still, you have the base effect of all 4 mantras on, and having them all increased by 100% at all times.
Sexy.
I'll have to check that one on the PTR.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see.
Or if someone has actually checked it in chat, hopefully they'll correct us here within the next minute or so. But continuing to move on, there was a change to the Madstone, where there is an issue that it was making it so that way Exploding Palm was being applied after 7-sided Strike did damage. So I guess that was just an effect where I guess it wasn't benefiting it. So it was, you were using 7-sided Strike and then it was applying Exploding Palm. So it might, the enemy might die and not explode, or you might not get the increased damage bonus, from some of the Exploding Palm runes. So that'd be a little bug fix there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have the redesign on the Remnant of 10,000 Storms. That one is the 2-piece set bonus. Now is your spirit generators have 25% increased attack speed and 500% increased damage. So you're getting a huge buff and damage there to your spirit generators. That's a conversation I think that we've had with some other people. I can't remember who was having the conversation with about liking the monk with. They loved the aesthetic of the early monks. Thibble. Of using just the basic skills, like
Way of 100 Fists.
Way of the 100 Fists, Lightning Fist, other abilities like that, and just going through and pounding things with your palms, and that kind of fulfills that bonus.
This could also be the home for the Bastion's Will too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the 4-piece set bonus is also increasing your weapon damage of Dashing Strike to 5,000%. That's kind of the thing that the Rammet was set up to do, was that it was the Dashing Strike skill, so you'd hit Dashing Strike and then it would pulse for the 3,000% weapon damage, but it just ended up giving people a carpal tunnel. But they now have it to where Dashing Strike spins 50 spirit, but it refunds a charge when it does. So I wonder, I'm not sure exactly how that's supposed to work.
So I guess under normal circumstances you have 2 charges max, and then there's a rune that gives you 3.
Mm-hmm.
So what I imagine would be your full on spirit, and then it's essentially giving the monks a burst option, I would imagine, because you'd be full on spirit and you pop in, and then you Dashing Strike and you get it back, but you lose 50 spirit, and you Dashing Strike and you get it back, but you lose 50, and it depends on how much spirit you have, but you could keep doing it, and then once you're done you actually start losing them. So
yeah, I guess I wonder if it's like kind of like a dual mechanic of how it actually functions. Like, is it to where if I have charges, it uses the charge, and if I don't have any charges, it costs 50 spirit and then gives me a charge back?
Oh, That's
You
also
know, just
another thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just it's one of those ones because it's based instead of doing the pulse, it's now just dashing strike does 5,000% weapon damage. You know, that's going to be your main way of doing damage is just, you know, hitting things with dashing strike over and over again. It gives you a way to continually do it as long as you have enough spirit to keep it going. You can spend all of your charges, and then next you're doing 50 spirit a charge, 50 spirit a charge. But again, you know, it's like this is one of those ones where it's like, we're sorry, the PTR has just been out. Most people haven't been able to log in since before the show started because there's so many people, you know, grabbing on there wanting to test out these changes. We'll hopefully have a more definite answer next episode on the functionality of some of these things that we have questions about. But yeah, it is interesting to see how that will go through and do. But moving on, they also have new Monk Bracer, placeholder name. Your spirit generators reduce the damage taken by 30 to 40% for 3 seconds.
They're really pushing the generator build.
Yeah, that they are. And that's one of those ones where it's also goes into some of the complaints that monks have always had is that they're squishy. Even after the change that Dex gave you armor, they're still just squishy. And so having a melee build when you're in the thick of things, that just wasn't that good because you'd get chunked down really quickly, even with all of your melee defenses. So this will hopefully give you a little bit more staying power to allow you to do those melee builds at the higher grade of rifts.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Yeah. I guess it looks like I'm on a roll here.
Yes.
We've got the Witch Doctor next. Now this one I'm gonna save the little man's finger for last because that one's got a little bit of a story or potential story tied into it. But going on, we have the Ticladian Visage. Now displays a buff icon indicating the duration of the Horrify effect. You know, because that one was that it makes it so that way when you use Horrify, it increased the duration of the ability of the fear. And so it made it so that way they get feared and rooted for 6 to 8 seconds around you. And I'm guessing that it's now it's a quality of life change. It shows you the duration of it, because that was the danger of the ZTPS build, is that even though you could go through and keep everything on lockdown, more or less permanently, you're in the middle of all of them while you're doing it. So you had to do nothing but increase, you know, your toughness and your survivability. Because if there's ever a point when they're off for just like half a second, or heaven forbid a full second, and you're clearing Greater Rift 50,
forget about it.
Yeah, you're dead. Now it's going to give you an actual visual confirmation of how long it should be lasting, so you know you have the more information. Is it time for me to get out of here? You know, or will it be up in time? So it's a nice little quality of life change. They're also making a change to Zunimasas. It's just like I was mentioning before. They're adding a 6-piece set bonus, which makes it so that way your mana spenders, or enemies hit by your mana spenders, take 100% more damage from your pets. So that's just to really like solidify Zunimasas is the pet build, or the pet set. And, you know, a lot of them, it was, you know, you didn't really use that many pieces of Zunimasas, even though it was nice to keep your fetish army alive permanently. Star Metal made it redundant because it was up all the time.
Right.
So you didn't need them to last forever. This will just make it so that way now, you know, you can hit things with an acid cloud, hit a whole big load of enemies, and now they're all taking double damage from your pets. It's making your input and your actual active skills to some use, and gives you a little bit more interaction with the class instead of kind of sitting back behind a door. This is in a similar vein to the Marauders set changes. So they want to add more interactivity to the play style and to that set. And I'm sure if it's not up to par and makes people start using that 6-piece set bonus, they'll change it and make more people want to use this. Mm-hmm. And then they also added in a new legendary pants, Zunimas's legs, that just makes it so that way you automatically summon Fetish Sycophant every time that you use a mana spender, to just, you know, kind of solidify that. And at that point, I mean, if you ever drop below 15, you're doing something wrong. You know, either that or you're stunned and out of mana. I don't know. Um, and of course, then finally we have the little man's finger, which makes it so that way your gargantuan skill now summons three smaller gargantuans that are each more powerful than the original. It's the
Oh man.
opposite of the tall man's finger, which combined all of your dogs into one gigantic dog that did more damage than all of them combined. Now you have three gargantuans that each individually do more damage than your gargantuan did previously. So this is like, even though pet doctors were pretty good all the way up until like the highest of the tiers, where the pets just started getting ganked pretty heavily, now we're getting, even more benefit to the pet class or the pet builds for the witch doctor. And it's the little story that I had with that. This is a question that we actually had many months ago, asking about the tall man's finger, because the flavor text on the item was more or less a direct reference to the movie Phantasm, where the main antagonist was the tall man. And the ring itself mentions about how, like, this person he entered another dimension. He entered into the Untamed Lands and then came back and was changed. And it took he killed everyone. It took all of their power in order to finally put him down. And it's a direct reference to Phantasm, because you had the tall man went into another dimension, came back, and started killing everybody. And now you have the little man's finger, which takes your gargantuan and shrinks them down into smaller versions of themselves and makes them more powerful, which still is kind of a pseudo reference to Phantasm, because that was what the tall man did. Is he would kill people, he would then resurrect them as a zombie and shrink them into a midget. But these midgets were super strong. They were stronger than what they were when they were alive. So it's like, but then the kicker is they went through, and I think I asked Nevelistus about this before, and she said that the tall man's finger is in fact it's a reference to one of the developers whose last name is Tallman, and wasn't a reference to Phantasm, but then, like, it still is. It's too much. It's too much to be a coincidence.
Right?
It's too much to be a coincidence. I think someone's going through and dragging it on.
What kind of like makes me laugh is it reminds me of those jokes where people are like, would you rather fight one gigantic horse or 100 mini horses? You know what I mean? Like, whatever that.
Yeah. Would you want to fight a 100 duck-sized horses,
Right.
or a single horse-sized duck?
Right, something like that. This is like
Yep.
the impetus for this ring, perhaps. We have an alternative theory here as well.
Yes. Would you want to fight one gargantuan-sized dog, or three dog-sized gargantuans?
I guess we'll find out.
We will find out soon enough.
All right, and let's, last but not least, of course, hit some wizard stuffs. They're getting their Delcir's Magnum Opus, which is their brand new set that was introduced at BlizzCon. The bonuses for this, if you don't recall, are the 2-set bonus, casting Arcane Orb, Energy Twister, Magic Missile, or Shock Pulse. Reduces the cooldown of your slow time by 1 second. So you're basically going to be throwing slow time everywhere all the time. 4-set bonus, enemies affected by your slow time take 1,250% weapon damage every second. Just let that sink in. This damage type will be determined by your highest equipped plus % elemental damage. Which means basically that ring is an extra 200% all the time. Because it'll be your highest, assumedly, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap. Okay. Unless, so you would basically have to gear just for that ring, and you would not put any other elements on any other piece of your gear. Just theory crafting in the air, whatever. Okay, and then the 6-set bonus, enemies affected by your slow time take 500% more damage from your Arcane Orb, Energy Twister, Magic Missile, and Shock Pulse. So some really awesome things going on here. And even though I personally don't play Wizard, I'm pretty excited for this. And then, of course, there's the Gesture of Orpheus, which is a wand that allows the reduction of the cooldown of slow time by 50 to 70%. And it got a change where it can now also roll with plus % arcane, cold, fire, or lightning damage instead of just arcane. And another thing that's being added to that sort of set, added as a supplement, is a new slow time hat, which is a placeholder name. And the effect will be slow time gains the effect of every rune, like we were saying before.
Mm-hmm. I believe that one was it at BlizzCon.
It did have a name.
Yeah, it did have a name. And dang it,
It was very lore based too.
it was lore based. It was the leader of the Church of the Triune. I'm trying to remember. It was basically it was the title.
Nerdwords is gonna send you an angry tweet.
He is gonna send me a very angry tweet.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Let me know if you find
Google
it.
Google is my friend.
Yes. I'm gonna move on to Firebird's Finery.
Yep.
All
Let's
right.
keep going.
So this one has been redesigned a little bit, although of course it's one of the best sets, if not the best set for Wizard right now. It got some changes here. So the 2-set bonus is when you die, a meteor falls from the sky and revives you. This effect has a 300-second cooldown, and there was a bug fix that prevented the cooldown debuff from being removed on death. And the 4-set bonus was reworked as well.
The Primus. There we go.
Primus, yes.
Yep.
Crown of the Primus.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 4-set bonus has been reworked so that your fire signature spells cause up to 3 enemies to explode, dealing 250% weapon damage as fire to enemies within 10 yards. So an interesting change to the set there. And of course that 6-piece bonus is still staying the same, so you'll get your your forever dot, the dot that never leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. They also got the Halo of Arliss with a bug fix here. It fixed an issue that could sometimes cause ice armor crystallized stacks to fall off when you equipped the Halo. So that will hopefully now work. A new item coming for Wizards, the Meteor Boots. It increases the damage of Meteor by 100%, and it increases the damage of Meteor by 300 to 400% when it hits 3 or less enemies. And I kind of like that they're going in this direction with some of the affixes, where they're skills that are AoE, but they're gaining a single target boost when there's enough enemies for it to warrant just being single target.
Yeah, because that's one of the problems with a lot of these builds, just because of the way that Greater Rifts are set up, that a very large portion of it is a single target fight. And, you know, the AoE skills aren't as good as killing just that one very high health mob. And that now they're adding that functionality to, you know, better leverage it.
Yes. Sorry. I got caught up. Yes. No, completely agree. So let's see. Oh, they have so many things. The Ransler's Folly is new legendary bracers, and Energy Twister will periodically pull in enemies within 30 yards. And this was one that they had actually talked about at the Legendary Workshop post-mortem a little bit, and how they were thinking about ways to increase the effectiveness and whatnot. So I'm not sure if this is actually different than when they introduced it, because I know we had seen this item previously at BlizzCon. But well, I guess we'll see, because I think Archon was saying that it was only pulling in one enemy, and so it didn't seem like super effective.
Yeah, it was each one of the twisters would pull in one enemy at a time.
Right. And so now this says pulls in enemies within 30 yards, so
yeah,
maybe it's changed to pull in a few more than just one, which would be good.
Last
but not least, Tall Rashes getting a redesign, that classic set. So the 2-set bonus now is damaging enemies with Arcane, Cold, Fire, or Lightning will cause a meteor of the same damage type to fall from the sky, and there's an 8-second cooldown for each damage type. It now uses the Molten Impact rune when triggered by fire damage, and this can no longer be triggered by hitting a destructible object. So you have to hit enemies with this. 4-set bonus, attacks increase your resistance to that element by 100% for 6 seconds. Pretty crazy.
That's survivability.
And then last but not least, the 6-set bonus, attacks increase your damage by 75% for 3 seconds. Arcane, Cold, Fire, and Lightning attacks each add 1 stack for a maximum of 4. Adding a stack refreshes the duration. So, some potential for some serious stuff going down. A lot of free damage just coming from the set itself. And then, of course, whatever you are doing with the ring, which would work very well with this, with its rotation and multi-elemental playstyle that they're going for here. Should be really cool.
Yeah, that it will. I do wonder how that ring will function, you know, back with the slow time set. Like if it actually is not like a buff, but instead actually increases your character sheet damage. It sounds like it should make it so that your slow time is changing the elemental damage to always, you know, coincide with that, and so you're looking at a ridiculous amount of dot damage coming from that with that ring, if that's how it works.
Yeah. Man, so many things to be excited about.
Yeah.
And we're running lowish on time, and we still have a lot to go here.
Yeah, we're hitting an hour 40 right now.
Okay.
So I don't know if we want to. There is still more in the patch notes. Do we want to continue going from here? Maybe save some of it for next week, or maybe we can leave some of the feedback questions for.
Yeah, I think maybe let's just make this the mega patch notes show. We get them fully out there, and then next week we kind of take questions, and we'll do a lot more of that focused part next week.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So for those of you that submitted feedback, we're sorry. We didn't realize all of this would be dropped all at once. Thank you, Blizzard. We are thankful.
Yeah. Thanks, Nev, for the heads up. Great.
Right?
Thank you.
Well, we knew it was a Wednesday, so something was going to happen.
Obviously it was a Wednesday, so they had to do something. We should have expected it.
And so we'll get to the feedback from this week, and also whatever you guys submit throughout the week up until next week's show. And that's westmarchworkshop@blizzpro.com. Also tweet at us as you're finding crazy things on the PTR. Let us know how your experience is going. That's the WM Workshop on Twitter. And also, of course, if you have longer missives or things you want to send us, novels and stuff, then send that through the email. A little bit easier to process. All right. So we have a couple of bug fixes here as well for items. They fixed an issue that would sometimes prevent account-bound legendary item names from being faded out for players who are not eligible to loot them. So that was fixed so that there will be no confusion as to the fact that you cannot pick up or trade or get rid of that item. It is yours and no one else's. And now bonus armor will properly roll at its increased values on ancient items. So I guess that's one thing that's kind of bugged out right now.
That is one thing that I noticed when I was re-rolling an item for an ancient chest that I had found, is that it had bonus armor, and it started at 700%, which is the ancient value. But while I was re-rolling at the enchanter, it kept coming up as 300 armor.
Ooh.
Which is the non one. Sometimes it'd be 700, sometimes it'd be 300.
Interesting. So yeah, that's not good, but will be fixed in season 3 / patch 2.2.
Yeah, we've got some achievement changes here, where it's more just like the packs of champion archers in Westmarch now spawn as revenant archers instead of skeletal archers, to help people go through and complete that achievement there of having to find a champion pack of revenant archers. It also is increasing the drop chance of Rakanishu's blade, so that way you can go through and get your Bashanishu achievement. And then also increase the spawn chance of several of the extremely rare unique monsters in Act 5. Because there were some of the named purple mobs that just, good luck finding them. You can go through many games, and that's one of those ones that's big props to those people that actually did complete that achievement, with how many games you have to roll to go through and find them.
Oh yeah, this is the shepherd buff section right here, because he is our perennial clan achievement hunter, and I know he had some pains going through season 1 and trying to knock all those unique collector a unique collection quests, etc.
Yep. Moving on.
Indeed. Adventure mode. Cool things happening here as well. The areas in which there are key wardens, they now have boss icons on the waypoint map, which is fine. Obviously, we already knew which zones had them, but the icon will indicate whether or not the key warden has been killed, and this is only applies to games that are level 60 plus. It's just a quality of life improvement, so that you're not going to areas, joining a public game or something. You're like, I want to kill some key wardens, and then you're searching the entire map. Turns out it was already killed.
I love that's one of those ones. Going in public games, you do the key runs. From the drop down menu, you go in and everybody's in a rift.
You're like, what are we doing here?
Like, what are we doing here? Oh, key wardens are dead.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I'll be leaving then.
Yeah. Thanks for keeping the game open.
Let's see, what else? We got Act 2, the Ancient Waterway, has new bounties added in the Eastern and Western channels, so we're going to some different places here. The Eastern and Western channels now each have 2 levels, so it's multi-level now. This is so awesome, man. And there's a new waypoint added for the Ancient Waterway. The Dalgar Oasis waypoint concurrently, or not even concurrently, accordingly, has been moved down slightly, so they're not too close to each other. Let's see. Nephilim Rifts, they've slightly increased the chance for a couple of extremely rare Nephilim Rift maps to spawn.
Such as the cow level.
Moo moo moo. And then several new Nephilim Rift maps have been added based on the following zones: Festering Woods, Fields of Misery, Fields of Slaughter, and Stinging Winds. And these were the ones that we saw at BlizzCon. They were saying they were going to add some new randomness to them, a couple dozen variations on each of them. So this will be exciting.
So that way it's not just one gigantic map.
It might actually break it into, you have one section down here, a little hallway, and a section up here, similar to the treatment we've seen with like the jail level.
Or I'd even want to say the Oasis map is another one, because that can get huge, but it's got a lot of variations. Because sometimes you'll start here and it will go up, and then it will loop down, you know, and make the different shapes.
Right, you're not always going like top left or whatever.
Yeah, you can't zone into Oasis. You'll zone into the Oasis, and this is probably going to be a fairly large map, but you don't know how it's broken up.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, a little bug fix here. So they fixed an issue that prevented players who paid a Rift Keystone to enter the Greater Rift from being able to obtain an upgraded Rift Keystone if they were not in the game when the quest advanced to the Talk to Auric in Town step. Wow, it's really wordy. But basically, it's just saying, like, if you weren't there when the quest advanced to talk to Auric, after those, basically when the Rift Guardian was killed and it triggered that next step, then there's a bug. So it's been fixed.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Moving on. This is a big change.
This is going to save so much time. I'd probably be Paragon level 200 by now if it wasn't spent for all the time sitting in town crafting gems.
Right.
Now, when you craft gems, the entire quantity that you selected is crafted at once. So if you're going to sit there and you're going to say craft 27 gems, it's boom, done. It's, you have all 27 gems. No more having to queue it up and walk away.
Easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy.
Thank you. Yep. That's a great quality of life change.
That indeed.
All right, let's talk monsters. There have been a few changes to them as well. Some that I'm really surprised and also excited about.
Some that I am excited about.
Starting from the top, and now we're here. Rift Guardians, Blighter, has been given 2 new attacks, which is cool because the ones that he had previously were all just like destroyed you. So it'll be nice that maybe he'll have a little bit more variety, and hopefully all of them won't destroy you. Maybe a few will be a little cleaner, a little nicer. This one I'll let you read.
Next, I'm taking this one. This is mine. The Armored Destroyer, Destroyer of Hopes. Now the warning time of the Armored Destroyer landing has been significantly increased, so no more zoning into Gardens of Hope level 1 and being slammed down on your head by 6 of them at once. You might actually have enough time to run away from the spawn point.
You sound like you're speaking from experience.
Oh, yeah, no, it's almost like I had like 5 of them drop on me at once and, kill a character instantly with no chance of reacting to it.
I feel like I was in a game with you and something similar happened.
Yeah, it's almost like that there's that connection there. Wow, weird. Anyways, and then also now the impact will knock the player away from the landing zone. So that way, even if you're not really paying attention, you have a bunch of them that all spawn in at once. You should only get hit by 1 or 2 of them because you'll be knocked out of the damage radius for the following. Because that was the big thing with the Armored Destroyers, is they land almost instantly. You don't have a lot of time to react to it. You only have half a second. And most of the time, it's like if you get hit by 1, you're getting hit by all the others. And so you're just having a huge amount. You're like 6 of them going through and chunking you for all of your health at once. So
good change.
Best change in A. There we go.
Rank 1 change.
Yep.
Oh man, they nerfed the Uber Magda a little bit, the Merciless Witch. They removed her enrage timer, reduced the maximum time that she can be shielded down to 15 seconds. Her butterfly projectile speed is reduced and the duration is reduced, so that fight should be a lot more manageable.
Yeah, I want to say that the enrage timer is like something I guess is like just it's like a follow-up change, because wasn't all the enrage timer supposed to be removed from the Ubers
Yeah.
many patches ago.
Yeah, they were. I guess maybe that one was left in, but hers wasn't
Yeah.
so bad that we realized it was left in.
I think it was just like her Enrage Timer was just she started casting the arcane beams and shooting the butterflies more
More
often. Like she
frequently.
like yeah, she just chain casted them or something along those lines.
Um, so
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. I feel like we won't even like notice those things because the Ubers, like we were saying previously, are such a joke at this point. It would be cool if they updated them to some of the higher standards and maybe change the rewards, but one step at a time, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
This one is an interesting change. They moved the Key Warden Nekarat, the typical Act 4 Key Warden, from Silver Spire level 1 to the Gardens of Hope 2nd tier. I wonder why.
I don't know.
Maybe a little less easier to farm because that area was typically very small.
I guess that would be, yeah, now that you put it that way, yeah, because Spire level 1 is very small, and Gardens Hope 2 is very long.
Mm-hmm. So I guess it puts them on par with all the rest of the key wardens. A little bit tougher to find.
Yeah. Then we have Realm Walker. It fixed an issue preventing that made the portal of the Realm of the Banished from being visible before the Realm Walker was killed. So I'm guessing I've never come across this one myself.
Me neither.
But yeah, I guess it was just, normally you'd see it on his back. You'd see it sitting in the ground, and then you'd click on it, and he would come up and spawn, and then you'd kill him. And but I guess it wasn't appearing on his back while you were fighting him, or maybe it wasn't appearing, on the ground for you to click on.
Yeah, interesting.
Yep. Well, and then just other quality of life changes. Savage Beast maximum charge range has been reduced, so hopefully no more off-the-screen charges. Skeleton King, it's now going to drop the improved version of Leoric's Crown the first time that he's been killed by a hero. I'm guessing he was dropping the old version of Leoric's Crown with no set bonus on it.
I don't know. I feel like the last I had seen of it, because I haven't done it in a while, I think he had a chance to drop the Broken Crown or Leoric's Crown.
Yeah.
So maybe now it's just going to be Leoric's Crown.
Yep.
Although there's a funny thing in chat that someone said it might be bugged because he killed Leoric on too low of a level for the crown to roll a socket.
Oh.
And I think it's supposed to have a guaranteed socket.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we also have the Soul of Evil, which is the Uber Diablo. His lightning breath will now always target the closest enemy. His mirror images damages have been increased, and Bone Cage now also does damage to you. Just as we were saying, to have the Ubers kind of raised up a little bit in difficulty. Well, there you go, Steven.
Then they did. Yeah. All right. Yep. Bring it on. No, that's good that they did that. This one, I was like, what? This is crazy. So the Succubus, the bane of my Crusader, personally, whenever I'm going through and doing my Greater Rifts, I'm like, seeing, because there's so much light, there's so much holy bolts on the screen, and like managing all the different packs that are shooting out their craziness, and you have to monitor these tiny little red balls and hope you don't get hit, or else you're gonna just get completely shredded. They removed the armor debuff from the Bloodstar. Praise the Lord.
Yep. Now they just move at random speeds, so it might not be. Some of them might be easier to avoid, others might be harder to avoid. And apparently the leap cooldown has been reduced, so now they're just harder to kill.
Wonderful.
Always great. That's what we need. More elite packs that do nothing but run away from you.
Thank you.
Yep. Treasure Goblins.
Treasure Goblins. This was a big part of the 2.2.0 preview that we got, that Nineball was talking about before we finally got these notes, introducing the fact that there'd be 3 new treasure goblins added to the game. And we have the insufferable miscreant, the gelatinous sire, and the gilded baron. And I believe it was the gilded baron that's going to be a gold focused one. Yeah,
that's going to apparently drop ridiculous amount of golds. The insufferable miscreant has friends to help him run interference. So apparently he's going to like summon over monsters, or maybe spawn monsters to prevent you from getting to him. And the gelatinous sire will split into smaller goblins as you damage him. So that should be interesting.
No, that's gonna be cool. I wonder if it's gonna be smaller or if there'll be like similar clones. So you like chase the wrong one and you kill it, but you don't get any gear, and you're like, oh crap, I got the wrong one.
Yeah, I don't know. What I'm just picturing in my head is like you damaging him, and he splits into 2, and then 4, and then 8, and 16.
Like it keeps multiplying.
Yeah.
That could be cool.
Yep. Well, that is more or less the end of the patch notes, and we are just shy of 2 hours right now.
Yes, yes. We have a few more items here we'll run through very quickly. Just user interface stuff. This is important for those who are at the end of a season trying to clean out their mailbox. You must now confirm deletion of seasonal items in your mailbox. So just in case, you're getting rid of them, you want to be sure you're going to do it. They don't want you to come back and say, I didn't know, I pressed the wrong button. So now you have to own it. This next change is interesting. The Rift Guardian's positions will always show on the map or minimap regardless of your distance from them. And Nineball had a joke before we started that, now we'll know exactly how far away from us they spawned
Yeah.
as we chase them across the entire map.
Yeah, or something that we've seen a couple times this season, as you'll see where they are when they spawn completely off the map in a place that's impossible to kill. I feel sorry for you if you got that bug.
It's a bit of a bummer.
Yep.
Last but not least, social button now opens the friends list by default, but it will remember what was last viewed and navigate to that screen the next time it's open. Cool.
So if you are all constantly in the clan window, it will auto open to the clan window if that's what you had open last time.
Indeed.
One final thing that I do want to go through and mention that wasn't in the patch notes but was in the patch 2.2 preview was the new cosmetics window.
Yes.
So things such as the wings in the pet are now going to be having its own little interface that you can click on and choose. So you just will go through and choose, I want these wings and this pet out, and it's not going to be an item that takes up room in your inventory. As well as one of the other changes that they're making is you can change your Paragon portrait to any ones that you have unlocked. So if you like the look of one of the earlier ones, you can change and keep that one if you so choose.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And there's actually a thing that was added in the game itself. There's I forget what it's called. It's like a mirror. It's literally like a mirror on the wall kind of thing in town, and it's marked by a little it kind of looks like the Enchantress's focus thing, the little mirror icon.
Yeah.
And it just gives you access to that screen. So there's a button for it, and then there's also an object in town that you can click on to get to your cosmetics.
Yep, very nice. And then I guess one other final thing as we have only just a minute or two left to wrap it up, and that is not in one of the items mentioned in the patch notes, but they're adding the Ashbringer into the game for anybody out there that is a World of Warcraft fan. And the only thing that I have to say to that is, where is my Frostmourne? I want a Frostmourne. Frostmourne hungers to be in this game. Come on now.
Hey, they gotta leave somewhere to go, right? They introduce the Thunder Fury, and then they give you an Ashbringer, and they save the best for last.
Patch 3.0, they're bringing in to coincide with Wrath of the Lich King being 3.0. They're going to throw in Frostmourne with patch 3.0. That's what they're going to do.
You a dreamer.
Yep, I already figured it out. I know your game. I know your game.
Nineball's on to you.
Yeah.
He's usually not wrong, except for when he's wrong.
Except for when I'm wrong, which is most of the time, unfortunately.
All right, so that was the patch 2.2.0 PTR extravaganza. We hope you've made it through at this point. Hopefully you're just playing and you're figuring all these things out right now.
And we knew it was going to take a while. Didn't expect it to take this long just to get through the notes, but there is more. There is more patch 2.2 coverage coming next week as we go through into some of the things that didn't make it into the patch notes, but have been data mined, and some of the big things to come from that, and some of the possibilities that this patch could still hold.
Absolutely. So get excited, get excited. Oh, and something that we did want to mention too, we're planning on doing a little gameplay session this Friday. So when you hear this, whatever day that might be, we are planning to do, what is that going to be, February 27th.
Yep.
At, what we agreed, 9:30, 10 p.m.?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Somewhere
10 p.m. Eastern.
around there, yeah. So just follow the stream, twitch.tv/Leviathan111. You'll be notified when we go live. But Friday evening, around 9:30 EST, we will be throwing the stream up and doing some PTR streaming. and talking
Yeah.
about stuff and our experiences and utilizing that sweet buff to get some of these new set items and rework set items and talk to you all about it.
Yeah. So we will catch you then. And if you miss us, we will catch you next week.
That's right. Same Westmarch time, same Westmarch place. I'm pretty sure I screwed up the way I wanted to say that.
Channel.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a channel.
And it actually is a channel too.
Yeah, it is.
Oh boy. All I can say is that I am just too excited. You can tell I've been smiling through this whole podcast. Everything is awesome.
Yep.
Did I get that reference right? If you guys want to check other things out, previous episodes of the Westmarch Workshop, head on over to YouTube. We have the library of past episodes there at SA Stewart 1 or on BlizzPro. And both of those contain links over to Archon's channel as well, where some of our older episodes reside. You can also catch the show on iTunes and Stitcher for the audio-only version. If you don't like our faces but love our voices, that's 9ball Gamer over there, and you can find him on Twitter by that name. I'm SA Stewart 111 on Twitter. You can follow me over there as well. Again, the show does go live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. Pacific. And yeah, we'll be seeing you on Friday for the special event. Keep PTRing, keep Season 2ing. Don't forget about Season 2. What about Season 2?
What about it?
Just a distant memory now.
Yep.
Gone but not forgotten. Should we rip Season 2?
Rip Season 2, the season that time forgot.
Mm-mm-mm.